February 7th, 2023, 11:47 a.m. Vuhledar, Donetsk Oblast, Ukraine. Russian tanks. Advancing. Again. Same approaches. Same terrain. Same kill zone. February 2022. First battle. 30-plus tanks destroyed. Vuhledar held. 1 year later, Russians trying. Again, different units. Same tactics. Same terrain. Same result. Incoming. T-72B3. T-80BVM. T-90M. Everything. Modern armor. Best Russia has. Advancing. Through open fields. Toward Vuhledar. Elevated position. Ukrainian defenders. Watching. Waiting. Artillery plotted. Anti-tank positions prepared. Drones observing. Everything ready. Russians repeating. Same mistakes. 1 year ago. Terrain unchanged. Tactics unchanged. Ukrainian defenses improved. Stronger. More lethal. Better equipped. Western weapons. Artillery. Anti-tank. Everything. Russians advancing anyway. Into Killzone. Again. Why? Orders. Pressure. Desperation. Strategic necessity. Everything. Questionable. Tactically suicidal. Done anyway. Ukrainian defenders opening fire. Artillery. First. Pre-plotted coordinates. Accurate. Deadly. Shells landing. Among tanks. Among infantry. Devastating. Then, anti-tank missiles. Javelin. NLAW. P. Everything. Firing. Tanks exploding. 1, 2, 5, 10. More. Advancing column. Disintegrating. Again. Same place. Same way. Same result. Vuhledar. February 2023. Russian armor graveyard. Returns. More tanks. More destruction. More death. Same lesson. Unlearned. Repeated. Fatal. This is Vuhledar. This is institutional insanity. This is Russian military. Repeating failure. Expecting success. Achieving disaster. Again. The second battle develops. January 2023. Russian forces. Regrouping. Vuhledar sector. Strategic importance. Southern Donbass. Controls approaches. Threatens logistics. Everything. Russian command. Orders. Capture Vuhledar. Again. Despite February 2022 disaster. 30-plus tanks lost. Assault failed. Vuhledar held. Lesson. Terrain unsuitable. Approach fatal. Defenses strong. Everything. Obvious. Ignored. Orders. Capture Vuhledar. Any cost. Units assigned. 105th Naval Infantry Brigade. Pacific Fleet. Elite supposedly. Combat experience. Previous deployments. Everything. Confident. Ordered. Assault Vuhledar. Same approaches. Open terrain. Elevated Ukrainian positions. Everything. Suicidal. February 2022. Proved this. 155th Brigade. Ordered anyway. Preparations. Minimal. Intelligence. Inadequate. Ukrainian defenses. Underestimated. Everything. Repeated. February 2022 mistakes. Systematically. Completely. February 2023. Assault begins. Same terrain. Same approaches. Same Ukrainian positions. Same defenses. Better equipped. 1 year preparation. Western weapons. More artillery. Better anti-tank. Everything. Improved. Russian tactics. Unchanged. Frontal assault. Open terrain. Massed armor. Soviet doctrine. Against modern defenses. Prepared positions. Western weapons. Everything. Unsuited. Tactics. Obsolete. Terrain. Impossible. Mission. At 3:47 p.m. February 7th, hours into assault, Russian losses catastrophic. 30-plus tanks destroyed. Already. Matching February 2022 total. 1 day. Assault continuing. More tanks. Advancing. More destroyed. Pattern repeating. Exactly. Ukrainian artillery. Devastating. Pre-plotted fires. Accurate. Deadly. Anti-tank missiles. Everywhere. Javelin. NLAW. P. Ukrainian made. Western supplied. Everything. Destroying tanks. Systematically. Russian forces. Continuing. Despite losses. Despite futility. Despite everything. Orders. Capture Vuhledar. Regardless. Casualties. Irrelevant. Success. Imperative. Reality. Impossible. Assault. Continues. Days. February 7 and 10. Continuous attacks. Continuous losses. Estimates. 50 plus tanks destroyed. Total around 130 plus armored vehicles. Everything. Infantry casualties. Hundreds. Possibly 1,000 plus. Exact numbers. Unknown. Catastrophic. Certain. 155th Naval Infantry Brigade. Decimated. Combat ineffective. Withdrawn. Eventually. Vuhledar. Held. Ukrainian defenders. Victorious. Again. Cost. Minimal. Comparative. Russian cost. Catastrophic. Strategic gain. None. Tactical disaster. Complete. Vuhledar. February 2023. Russian armor graveyard. Expanded. Same kill zone. More wrecks. Same lesson. Unlearned. Institutional failure. Complete. Permanent. This is Military Report. And what happened at Vuhledar was systematic institutional failure where Russian military repeated exact same assault 1 year later on identical terrain against strengthened defenses, achieving identical catastrophic result. Where strategic pressure and institutional rigidity compelled units to execute tactically suicidal attacks despite previous disaster demonstrating impossibility. Where 155th Brigade suffered similar losses to previous units on same ground for same non-existent gain. Where terrain analysis and tactical adaptation were completely absent, enabling Ukrainian defenders to repeat successful defense with even greater efficiency. The question isn't whether assault was doomed. Obviously was. Question is why Russian command repeated failed assault. What institutional factors enabled repetition? And what Vuhledar reveals about Russian military's inability to learn from catastrophic failures or adapt tactics to battlefield realities. Official Russian statements about Vuhledar 2023. Minimal. Vague. Offensive operations ongoing. Generic. No specifics. No losses acknowledged. No disaster admitted. Reality. Catastrophic. 50 plus tanks lost. 155th Brigade decimated. Vuhledar unattained. Statements propaganda. Evidence. Overwhelming. Satellite imagery. Drone footage. Battlefield wreckage. Everything. Proves disaster. Complete. Russian statements. Meaningless. Reality. Undeniable. Vuhledar 2023. Catastrophe. Repeated. Acknowledged. Never. Officially. Ukrainian statements about Vuhledar defense. Detailed. Accurate. Proud. Russian assault repelled. True. Heavy enemy losses. Confirmed. Vuhledar holds. Fact. Videos published. Drone footage. Destroyed tanks. Burning armor. Everything. Documented. Ukrainian defenders celebrated. Deservedly. Repeated success. Against repeated assault. Same place. Same way. Same result. Ukrainian statements. Transparent. Accurate. Evidence supported. Everything. Credible. Completely. Stay with me. Because the detail that explains repeated disaster, why Russians attacked again, is going to show you that institutional pressure and strategic desperation override tactical reality in Russian military decision-making. Strategic pressure. Vuhledar threatens Russian logistics. Southern Donbass. Supply routes. Everything. Strategic necessity. Capture Vuhledar. Eliminate threat. Secure logistics. Everything. Valid strategically. But tactically impossible. Terrain unsuitable. Defenses strong. Previous attempt catastrophic. Evidence overwhelming. Should conclude alternative approach necessary. Different axis. Different timing. Different tactics. Something. Instead, repeat assault. Same approach. Same tactics. Same terrain. Why? Institutional rigidity. Russian military. Hierarchical. Orders. Top down. Questioning. Discouraged. Punished. Adaptation. Difficult. Slow. Impossible. Sometimes. Orders given. Capture Vuhledar. Units execute. regardless. Tactical impossibility, previous disaster. Everything, irrelevant. Orders, absolute. Execution, mandatory. Results, predictable. Catastrophic. Again, institutional factors, enable repetition. Strategic pressure plus institutional rigidity equals repeated disaster. Vuhledar, February 2023. Proves Russian military institutionally unable. Learn. Adapt. Succeed. Against modern defenses. Professional opponents. Ukrainian defenders. Everything. Let's establish what Vuhledar's second battle actually was. Comparison of analysis. Lessons. Vuhledar terrain and defenses. Town elevated position. Dominates approaches. Southern Donbass. Open terrain. Surrounding. Minimal cover. Attackers. Exposed. Completely. Defenders protected. Elevated. Advantaged. Everything. February 2022-2023. Ukrainian preparation. Continuous. Fortifications. Improved. Positions. Reinforced. Weapons upgraded. Western supplied. Artillery. More. Better. Anti-tank. Abundant. Javelin. NLAW. Stugna P. Everything. Drones. Everywhere. Observation. Strike capable. Defenses. Comprehensive. Lethal. Prepared. Professionally. Terrain plus defenses. Killzone. Perfect. Unchanged. 1 year. Still unsuitable. Assault. Obvious. Everyone. Except Russian command. Apparently, Russian forces second assault. 155th Naval Infantry Brigade. Pacific Fleet. Elite designation. Reality mixed. Some experienced. Many. Replacements. Mobilized. Inadequately trained. Equipment modern. T-72B3. T-80BVM. T-90M. Best available. Numbers. Significant. 50 plus tanks. 30 plus other armored. Everything. Impressive. Quantitatively. Tactics. Soviet era. Massed armor. Frontal assault. No subtlety. No adaptation. No learning. From February 2022 disaster. Same approach. Repeated. Exactly. Result. Predictable. Catastrophic. Again. Assault execution and results. February 7-10, 2023. 4 days. Continuous attacks. Russian forces. Advancing. Open terrain. Toward elevated Ukrainian positions. Ukrainian response. Immediate. Artillery. Pre-plotted. Devastating. Accurate. Anti-tank. Everywhere. Destroying advancing armor. Systematically. Russian losses. Mounting. Hourly. Tanks 50 plus. Destroyed each assault confirmed. Other vehicles 130 plus. Damaged. Destroyed. Everything. Infantry. Hundreds dead, so and 1,000 plus possibly. Estimates difficult. Certain catastrophic. February 10th. Assault ends. 155th Brigade. Withdrawn. Combat ineffective. Decimated. Vuhledar. Ukrainian. Still. Defense successful. Again. Repeat. Complete. Disaster identical. Lesson. Unlearned. Again. Comparison. February 2022 versus 2023. Terrain identical. Unchanged. Defenses stronger. 2023. Better equipped. More lethal. Russian tactics identical. Unchanged. Frontal assault. Massed armor. Soviet doctrine. Results identical. Worse, actually. 2022. 30 plus tanks lost. 2023. 50 plus tanks lost. Both catastrophic. 2023 more catastrophic. Why? Ukrainian defenses improved. Western weapons more. Better. Russian tactics unchanged. Learning. None. Adaptation 0. Result predictable. Worst disaster. Repeated. Institutionally enabled. Systematically executed. Completely catastrophic. Vuhledar. Proves. Russian military. Institutionally broken. Unable. Learn. Adapt. Succeed. Modern warfare. Against professional opponents. 3 questions from the beginning. Time to answer them. Why did Russian command repeat failed assault? Institutional factors. Strategic pressure. Vuhledar threatens logistics. Must be eliminated. Orders given. Institutional rigidity. hierarchical command, top-down orders, questioning, discouraged, adaptation, difficult, orders, execute, regardless, tactical reality, previous disaster, everything, irrelevant, combination, strategic necessity plus institutional rigidity, equals, repeated assault, despite known impossibility, result predictable disaster, Russian command, either, unaware, previous disaster, details, implications, or aware, ordered anyway, institutional pressure, political necessity, strategic desperation, something, both, indicate, institutional failure, complete, Russian military, broken, systemically. What institutional factors enabled repetition? Hierarchical rigidity, orders absolute, questioning dangerous, adaptation difficult, units, execute orders, regardless, tactical impossibility, intelligence failure, inadequate reconnaissance, poor analysis, underestimated defenses, overestimated capability, everything, contributed, political pressure, strategic imperatives, override, tactical reality, must succeed, politically, militarily, impossible, attempted anyway, accountability absence, previous disaster, no consequences, commanders, unpunished, tactics, unchanged, units, sacrificed, again, system, unreformed, broken, permanently, factors combined, enable repetition, systematic failure, institutional, complete, Vuhledar, symptom, Russian military disease, terminal. What does Vuhledar reveal about Russian military? Institutional inability, learn from catastrophic failure, adapt tactics, acknowledge reality, everything, broken, systemically, hierarchical rigidity, prevents adaptation, discourages initiative, punishes questioning, enables, repeated disasters, strategic desperation, overrides tactical reality, political necessity, trumps military possibility, casualties, irrelevant, success, imperative, reality, impossible, attempted, anyway, accountability vacuum, no consequences, for failure, for disaster, for repetition, everything, unpunished, unreformed, repeated. Vuhledar reveals Russian military, fundamentally broken, institutionally incapable, modern warfare, against professional opponents, defensive positions, Western weapons, everything, result, predictable, catastrophic, repeated, permanently, until system reformed, unlikely, or collapsed, through repeated failure, possible. Vuhledar, microcosm, Russian military, macrocosm, failure, systematic, complete, permanent. The lesson from Vuhledar 2023 is that institutional rigidity and strategic desperation create conditions where militaries repeat catastrophic tactical failures despite clear evidence of impossibility. Russian forces assaulted Vuhledar, February 2023. Exactly 1 year after February 2022 disaster. Same terrain, same approaches, same tactics. Against stronger defenses, better weapons. Result, worse disaster. 50-plus tanks lost, 2023, versus 30-plus tanks, 2022, 105th Brigade, decimated, 2023. Previous units, decimated, Son 2022. Pattern, identical. Lesson, unlearned. Why? Institutional factors, strategic pressure, must capture Vuhledar, threatens logistics, hierarchical rigidity, orders given, execute regardless, intelligence failure, underestimate defenses, overestimate capability, political pressure, strategic imperative, override, tactical reality, accountability vacuum, no consequences, previous disaster, commanders, unpunished, system, unreformed, factors, combined, enable, repetition, systematic disaster, institutional failure, complete, modern military lesson, institutions matter, more than equipment, training, tactics, everything, Russian equipment, modern, training, adequate, Sometimes. Tactics, Soviet era. Outdated. Institution, broken. Hierarchical, rigid. Unable. Learn. Adapt. Reform. Result, repeated failure. Despite modern equipment. Despite adequate training. Institution determines outcome. Russian institution broken. Vuhledar proves repeatedly, catastrophically, permanently. Learn. Institutional health determines military effectiveness more than everything else. Vuhledar teaching. Russian military demonstrating. Institutional failure complete. Lesson permanent. This is Military Report. We analyze military institutional failures. Vuhledar 2023 exemplifies institutional catastrophe. Russian forces repeated. Exact assault. 1 year later, same terrain. Open approaches. Elevated defenses. Same tactics. Massed armor. Frontal assault. Soviet doctrine. Against strengthened defenses. Western weapons. Better preparation. Result? Worst disaster. February 7 to 10, 2023. 155th Naval Infantry Brigade. Assaulted Vuhledar. 4 days. Continuous. Catastrophic. 50+ tanks destroyed. 30+ vehicles lost. Hundreds dead. 1,000+ possibly. Brigade decimated. Withdrawn. Vuhledar. Ukrainian. Still? Defense. Repeated. Successfully. Attack. Repeated. Catastrophically. Why repetition? Institutional factors. Strategic. Vuhledar threatens logistics. Must eliminate. Orders. Given. Hierarchical. Command structure. Top down. Absolute. Execute. Regardless. Tactical reality. Intelligence. Inadequate. Defenses underestimated. Capability overestimated. Analysis. Poor. Political. Pressure. Strategic imperatives. Override. Military reality. Accountability. None. Previous disaster. Unpunished. Unreformed. System broken. Combination enables repetition. February 2022. Disaster. Lessons. Unlearned. February 2023. Repeated. Worse. Same. Everything. Terrain. Approaches. Tactics. Defenses. Stronger. Losses. Greater. Ukrainian preparation. 1 year. Fortifications improved. Weapons upgraded. Western supplied. Artillery abundant. Anti-tank everywhere. Drones observing. Everything. Lethal. Professional. Ready. Russian assault. Predictable. Ukrainian response. Devastating. Pre-plotted artillery. Accurate fires. Anti-tank missiles. Destroying armor. Systematically. Russian forces. Continuing. Despite losses. Despite futility. Orders absolute. Execution mandatory. Casualties. Irrelevant. Until brigade destroyed. Mission. Failed. Vuhledar. Holds. Lesson taught. Again. Unlearned again. Russian military institutionally broken. Unable adapt. Learn. Reform. Result. Repeated catastrophe. Vuhledar. Proves. Systematically. Permanently. Teaching. Institutional health. Critical. Determines. Military effectiveness. Russian institution. Failed. Military suffering. Repeatedly. Catastrophically. Permanently. Until. Reform. Or. Collapse. Subscribe to Military Report. Understanding modern warfare requires understanding institutional factors determine outcomes more than equipment or tactics. Vuhledar demonstrates Russian forces modern equipment. T-72B3, T-80BVM, T-90M, best available. Tactics, Soviet era, outdated, but executed by professional units. 155th Brigade, Naval Infantry. Elite designation. Institution broken. Hierarchical rigidity. Strategic desperation. Intelligence failure. Accountability vacuum. Everything. Combined. Produced repeated disaster. February 2022, 30+ tanks lost. Lesson clear. Terrain unsuitable. Tactics obsolete. Defenses strong. February 2023, repeated assault. Same place, same way. Worst result. 50+ tanks lost. Why? Institution demanded. Strategy required. Hierarchy enforced. Intelligence failed. Accountability absent. System broken. Result predictable. Catastrophic. Ukrainian defenders professional, prepared, equipped. Western weapons. Javelin, NLAW, artillery, drones. Everything. 1 year. Preparation. Improvement. Strengthening. Russian assault. Unchanged. Repeated. Catastrophic. Modern warfare. Institutions decide. Russian institution. Broken. Ukrainian functional. Result. Predictable. Vuhledar. Ukrainian. Russian armor. Graveyard. Expanded. Same kill zone. More wrecks. Same lesson. Institutions matter most. Study Vuhledar. Learn institutional importance. Equipment helps. Tactics matter. Institution decides. Russian failed. Result catastrophic. Repeated. Permanent. Until reform. Unlikely. Collapse. Possible. Through. Repeated failure. Vuhledar. Teaching. Institutional failure. Modern warfare. Decisive factor. Study. Learn. Remember. Real operations. Real tactics. Real consequences. Stay informed.